Yeah, within organization, I think people tend to talk about in labor statistics to say what kind of information that an organization has to keep within the organization. I think in another session, I discussed issues to do with records management, but labor statistics is different from records management. But now this one, we are looking at in the kind of information related to labor that has to be with the organization. So I'll give an example. In terms of statistics, you might wish to know maybe how many buildings you have. When did you acquire each and every building? How many vehicles do you have? When did you acquire each and every vehicle? When are you intending to service this particular vehicle? Or maybe when are you going to dispose this kind of vehicles? Who drives which vehicle, for example? Who uses which office, for example. So all that information is what we call statistics. And when it comes to labor statistics, you might also wish to appreciate to say, for example, whenever you have got employees within the organization, you should be able to know who was the first employee within the organization, how many employees joined on the first day, maybe when the organization was starting, how many employees are in the organization, where are they based in each and every, with their positions, their grades, and all that. So that's kind of labor statistics what I'm talking about. So you find that whenever you have got such kind of information, how many employees, for example, retired last year, how many people are nearing retirement, when do you think each and every employee is going to retire, for example? And because these are going to feed into your decision making to say maybe what kind of retirement plans we should be making for each and every employee to ensure that we are able to remind them of the need for them to understand that they'll be retiring soon and all that, so that they are prepared for the retirement. Some to them, they take retirement as something which they didn't know that they're going to retire one day. So it's always important for an organization to know that some the people are nearing retirement and what kind of retirement plans should we do for this kind of employees. If employees are on contracts, for example, when the contract's coming to an end, whose contract is coming to an end, because by the time we know that, you're able to advertise the position maybe early, rather than you wait for up to the time when the employer has now contract has come to an end and now you're advertising and you find like you don't have anyone and you're asking someone to work on a monthly basis. For example, someone has retired but you're asking the employee to work on a monthly basis. So it always brings unpreparedness on part of the organization to say, because you didn't know how to handle that kind of cases. And also, for example, issues of safety. How many employees were injured last year, for example? From that statistics, you're able to know what kind of mitigation measures can you be able to put in place. And also, even what accidents were. Is it more about accidents related to motor or accidents related to other things, work related, whereby maybe someone was operating some machine? How many people have been injured using this kind of machine, for example? So all that information is always important that the organization has to know. And also even compensation. How many employees were compensated, and how much were the compensations, and these are going to feed into even the budgeting and what kind of mitigations measures have to be put in place. So you have to have information regarding to how many people attended trainings, when did people attend the trainings, are the trainings based on long term or short term, and also at the same time how many promotions have been in the organization. Yeah, so all this information is always important. How many disciplinary cases have you handled? How many employees were dismissed, were terminated, had to resign, and had to retire? All those that kind of information is always important for organization to make what decision. How many employees are on probation, for example? Yeah, so it's always important that an organization should have such kind of data, which is very very important for the organization to make decisions. And when you are reporting, for example, to an organization, you're able to know how many employees do we recruit, how many employees do we intend to recruit, which kind of skills are we looking for, and when are we going to recruit these people, how many people are going to retrench, when are we going to retrench such kind of people. So this is the kind of information that you need to have as an employee. By a click of a button, for example, you're able to access. Okay, you can just click a button. How many employees were dismissed last year? How many employees were retired last year, for example? How many employees were recruited last year, for example? How many children have our employees, each and every employee within the organizations? How many people got married last year, for example? So this can also help you within the organization to know much about the employees and also to make decisions regarding the employees, for example. So I think it's always important. It helps in the budgeting aspect of the organization, but also in the succession planning of the organizations. You have got a database, for example, in terms of the skills, the qualifications of each and every employee that they have, and all this. So this is good for when you go to about labor statistics. This is now having a clear picture of the kind of people that you have within the organization, and also in terms of the volume, and also in terms of the different skills that they have. It's always important to keep such kind of records. So by click of a button, you should be able to know when was Mr. So recruited, how many people were recruited in this year, in the last 5 years, maybe how many people have been dismissed, and for what reasons. So you find that you are able to mitigate such kind of reasons, because you know now the problem to say, no. I think a lot of people tend to resign, for example, within the organization, and what are the reasons of resignations, for example. So if there is a high labor turnover, for example, for argument's sake, you might need to carry out some mitigation measures to overcome such kind of labor turnover we're talking about. So it's always important that we should be able to appreciate the importance of labor statistics and the need for us to keep statistics of our organization. You can have a software that can be able to manage such kind of information, rather than if you want a certain information, then you go to the file and all that. You find, for example, when did we recruit Mr. So? Now you are maybe in Mangochi and your organization is in Blantyre, and now can you check in the file? No, you can have it at your fingertips. How many? But those guys were recruited 18. Who are the other people? And now you are now going to go to different reports and all that. But if you have got all the reports within the database, for example, recruitment reports, could be training reports, disciplinary approval reports, and all that information, you can be able to have access to that information to say, okay, how many employees were recruited, dismissed, and also maybe trained in this particular year, and which course did they attend. So whenever someone is applying for a new course, for example, you're able to know, okay, well, this person is applying for this course, but this person just did this course 2 years ago, because you are going to say, okay, short trainings attended by Emmanuel Chinovi within the organization, or even when he has attended, you can be able to enter from his CV. You're able to enter into your system. And when you have gone in the system, you can say, okay, no, but it's like a refresher. No, but you just did this, although you are with us this year, you joined us this year, but we are seeing you did a similar course, for example, in last year, where you were. And now you are still interested in this particular course. And it means this particular training is not informed by your supervisor, or maybe if it's training is sponsored by our organization, you find we just wasted resources for you to attend that course. So because the biggest issue is value addition. What kind of value addition the course is bringing to our organization. So at the end of the day, that's why we need to have labor statistics. How many employees were affected by a certain disease? Could be COVID or tuberculosis and all that, and what kind of mitigation measures should we put in place? So all this information is very, very important for an organization to make decisions. So I think you cannot undervalue the importance of having labor statistics. I'm thinking if you reach out to Change Consulting Group, you're able to learn a few things on how maybe you can be able to manage your labor statistics, and maybe what kind of softwares can help you to ensure that you have got a database that is going to help you to have the information that is required for your organization. Maybe even salaries. How much was he getting, let's say, in the last 5 years? How much was he getting, let's say, in the last 2 years? We want to calculate the terminal benefits, for example. Just go to that kind of information. You're able to know, okay, in January, Mr. Chinovi was earning so much. In February, he was earning so much. In March, he was earning so much. So you're able to have your information at your fingertips. Value information, value labor statistics.